Righto, build breakdown part 3. I've got it down here at my work on a hoist, so I can go through and point out some stuff for you guys. Huge shout out to my work for letting me use this place after hours. Huge help having access to a hoist and stuff like that, so that's massive. Thank you heaps. What I'll do is I'll start at the back of the engine and work my way back for you guys. So yeah, let's get into it. Right, so obviously bolted to the back of the engine is the clutch. So I run a twin plate quartermaster clutch, and it's the same clutch. It's been in there for onto its 3rd season now. I have replaced the friction plates, the clutch plates, whatever you want to call them, in between seasons, but apart from that, everything else is the same. Never really had a drama with it. I've only replaced them because when I've pulled it out or whatever, I've seen cracks in the plates and stuff, so I figured I'd replace them while they're out. It's never slipped, anything like that, so that's been real good. And then behind that, I run the factory slave cylinder that comes with this box. It comes with the Commodore. That obviously works pretty well. I've never had a drama with that either. It's all remote, so concentric slave, sorry. So it's all in the box. I have a bleeder set up there and my main clutch line that runs in there, and with a joint so I can take it out there. So that's nice and easy. Then the box. So this is a Tremec TR6060, and now that's out of a like VE Commodore. So it's probably out of some Chevys in America and stuff too. But so it's a 6-speed. It's basically the slightly later model to the T56, which is really common. So 4th gear is 1-to-1 in this box, and that's really good. So I try and set up the diff to suit 4th gear a lot of the time, but say Pookie in that, I just run 5th gear, which is super handy because you're having a few overdrives. Obviously overdrives aren't generally your strongest gear, so I don't usually try and run them, but I didn't have a problem running 5th at Pookie last year. So it means we don't have to stress about getting a really long diff for Pookie. It's been super solid for me. Again, this is its 3rd season. Never had a drama. It's been solid as this whole drivetrain, like everything. I've never touched, to be honest. I've only ever pulled it out when I've pulled the motor and stuff like that out. So it's been really good. And yeah, the only thing I don't like is the actual gear changes. I have to try and show you guys what I mean later from up top. But yeah, the box itself, primo. Then on the back, we have an adapter plate here that then goes to our drive shaft, and that runs the 450, I think they call them, universal joints. And then we come to a slip joint, which is super handy. It's actually set up so that I can shorten this up to 60 mil. So say I need to run an ABS diff, not a problem, just shorten that up there and then. You can see my sweet 3-inch twin pipes, bit of a cross flow there, and then yeah, all the way back. So yeah, like I said, I had to change the drive shaft when I put it into the Silvia from the Laurel. That was simply because I'm running a different diff in this, and yeah, I wanted to set up the slip joint and stuff like that. So huge shout out to Brett at Advanced Engineering here in Rotorua for doing that for me. Made all my drive shafts, never had a drama with them. Perfect. And then we come back. My exhaust usually runs right out the back, but it's off at the moment because we changed the diff and stuff last night. So the diff, as you can see, it's a 3.5 R200. We have run an R200 in this the whole time. It used to be a 4.1 and 3x2, so 3x2 axles and everything. Now, never had a drama with that. Like I said, I ran the 4.1 and stuff like that for Taupo and all that kind of stuff. 4.1 was perfect. I'm only throwing a 3.5 in for Bay Park actually, because I basically want to try and just use 3rd gear. So we've thrown that in. The 5x1 axles, excuse the missing bolts, I've got to track them down. That's just so I can move it around. And so yeah, I used to run a R230 in the Laurel, and that was really good strength wise and stuff. 6x1 axles in that, so it was really strong. I did only ever run it as an LSD, and then it was only Pukekohe where the LSD actually started to basically slip, and I'd start to one wheel and stuff, which ended up pretty dodgy in the end. After I locked it, like I said, it was fine. But we left the R200 in this one because the R230 only ever came as a 3.7, which I found limited us a bit with changing tracks and stuff like that. So for the sake of, if I needed more torque and stuff like that, I wanted to be able to change the ratio. So believe it or not, sometimes I chase more torque on this thing. So yeah, that's why we've just left it with the R200, and that way I've got a few of these now, and we can just change the ratio to suit the track we're going to, and play around with it while we're there as well. So yeah, all pretty standard really, the back end. And yeah, again, I haven't had dramas with any of the drivetrain, and it's just one of those things that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, as you can see, that's not like this is a no expense spared build. We have some pretty standard stuff under here, but it gets the job done. So if it's getting the job done, I'm not going to change it. And yeah, that's, like I say, we're not a huge budget team in that, so we've run what we can, and that's not horrendous. So yeah, it all works for me, and as long as it keeps working, we'll keep plugging away. So yeah, I'll try and show you guys what I mean about the gear stick. Right, so what I was talking about with the gears is that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, the gates are actually really close. So it can be really easy in the heat of the moment to go 4th to 5th instead of 4th to 3rd, which, as you can imagine, stuffs you up completely. So you can see there's 3rd, 4th, that's reverse, but 5th is only there somewhere, same with 6th. So yeah, it's quite easy to go 4th to 5th, that's 4th, that was 5th. So yeah, may look bad there, but in the heat of the moment it's real easy to do. So those 5th and 6th gates are actually horrible, but as long as you're sort of using 4th, that's why a lot of the time, a lot of the tracks, I'll try and set it up so I can leave it in 1 gear. Ideally you'd leave it in your 1-to-1 gear, which is 4th, because your 1-to-1 gear is going to be the strongest. That's when you want doing all the work. But like I say, I haven't had too many dramas running other gears at other tracks, so I try to just set it up to suit any gear as long as I can leave it in 1, which is good. Yeah, so that is probably the only con with this drivetrain. Heaps of pros, like I said, it's been super reliable, which is what we want. Next up, I'll try and do our brakes, suspension and steering. So stay tuned for that one. Cheers.